I'm Diane. I'm an independent candidate for the U.S. Senate from the state of New York in the 2022 elections, and I came here today to the statue of Friedrich Schiller, the great poet, philosopher, and historian, because I wanted to announce a new initiative of my campaign. Earlier this week, the monument in Saratoga Springs, which was dedicated to honoring the 77th Regiment of the Union Army, was toppled and shattered into pieces. So my campaign manager, Gary Konitz, came up with the idea that everyone following my campaign should find the monuments and statues near you and take photographs and video footage of them, because apparently now 3D printers are able to actually reproduce objects from photographs, and thereby we can have an actual record of all of these documents. But also we want people to not only take the photographs, but tell us a little bit about the monument that you're photographing. Tell us about the history. We need to have a discussion in this country of actual American history. And there's a Facebook group dedicated to this, and it's called The Better Angels of Our Nature. So I would urge all of you to go there and locate the historical monuments near you and begin joining us in this endeavor. Now, Friedrich Schiller was a contemporary of Alexander Hamilton, and both Schiller and Hamilton were completely horrified by the result of the French Revolution, which Schiller, as many, his friend Beethoven, had hoped would in some way replicate the nobility of the American Revolution and result in republican forms of government in Europe. But what happened was that the population was too small. As Schiller put it, a great moment has found a little people, and they were easily manipulated by operations from the British and Swiss bankers and got turned into a bunch of riotous, violent mobs who ended up chopping off the heads of all of the intellectuals. So this revolution became a bloody mess. What happened in France in the French Revolution is not unlike what some in London are trying to do in the United States today. They seized upon the brutal murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis to take over the demonstrations of people who were correctly angry about what happened, but to infiltrate them with paid agents who were looting, burning, attacking the police, etc. And in fact, now what they are doing is they are running around painting hammers and sickles on things so that the Trump supporters, on the other hand, can be in a complete rage against the communists. Well, the communists are not the issue. The issue is the British Empire. China is not our enemy, contrary to the ravings of our Secretary of State Pompeo and our Attorney General Barr. The enemy is in London, and the president knows this. You may have heard that he has requested that Christopher Steele, the former MI6 agent who wrote the lying dossier about President Trump in 2016, be extradited to the United States to stand trial. Christopher Steele was just caught and convicted in British courts of fraud and is having to pay fines. So it makes sense that he should be brought over to the United States to explain his role in the illegal witch hunt against President Trump, which is ongoing to this day. Now that gets me to the point about Schiller and the study of history. When Schiller was 30 years old, his friend Goethe arranged for him to become a professor, unpaid, but a professor of history at Jena University. And his first lecture is published here in this book produced by the Schiller Institute, and it's entitled "To What End Do We Study Universal History?" And what I would like to share with you this morning is the conclusion of Schiller's remarks to the large crowd of students who had gathered to hear him speak. I think it's something that all of us should take very personally. He writes, All preceding ages, without knowing it or aiming at it, have striven to bring about our human century. Ours are all the treasures which diligence and genius, reason and experience have finally brought home in the long age of the world. Only from history will you learn to set a value on the goods from which habit and unchallenged possession so easily deprive our gratitude. Priceless, precious goods, upon which the blood of the best and most noble clings. Goods which had to be won by the hard work of so many generations. And who amongst you, in whom a bright spirit is conjugated with a feeling heart, could bear this high obligation in mind without a silent wish being aroused in him to pay that debt to coming generations which he can no longer discharge to those past? A noble desire must glow in us to also make a contribution of our own means to this rich bequest of truth, morality, and freedom which we received from the world past, and which we must surrender once more, richly enlarged to the world to come. And in this eternal chain which winds itself through all human generations to make firm our ephemeral existence. However different the destinies may be which await you in society, all of you can contribute something to this. A path toward immortality has been opened up to every achievement, to the true immortality, I mean, where the deed lives and rushes onward, even if the name of the author remains behind. So with that in mind, let us resolve to become students of the actual history and to fight to leave a legacy to coming generations worthy of the dignity of man. That means in the immediate term we have to support President Putin's call for a P5 summit, that is a meeting of the 5 members of the permanent UN Security Council, Russia, China, the United States, Britain, and France, because only if those heads of state are able to meet and discuss the COVID-19 pandemic, the looming economic collapse, the strategic dangers posed in hotspots like Libya, Syria, Ukraine, and other places, will the world be able to continue in peace. And it is exactly these talks which the British, through Christopher Steele, through Robert Mueller, through others involved in this witch hunt against the president, have been trying to stop.